You really can't trust women who center men any more than you can trust men themselves. And I hate to say it, but it's true. Let me give you some examples. Thank you for this comment, because this reminds me of one reason why. They will put you in danger if they don't know how to center themselves and protect themselves and trust men, especially the wrong men, at every turn. It is inevitably going to affect you and maybe even get you, right? Like, how many times have you gotten in some man's car because your friend was like, it was her boyfriend, and then he is so dangerous. You trusted her. She failed to mention that this man drives like he's in Fast and Furious 37. Like I did a whole video before. If you click back, you'll see it in the thread. You can't trust women who center men as roommates, especially as roommates, because they will bring men over to your house because and usually these women have a lot of unhealed trauma. I'm not judging these women. I used to be one of these women. I totally get it and I empathize, but you got to decenter them, and you can't really trust them, because the men that I allowed in my house and in my life did impact the people who love me. Women and men and everyone. Now, I can actually go into more detail about that if you want to hear about it, because that was a really, really, really hard truth for me to swallow, was that I can be both a victim of domestic violence and be somewhat responsible for putting people who love me in danger. Those two things had to exist at the same time for me to really understand why some people had to cut me off. And I totally get why, and I don't judge them for it. In fact, I admire them for that. And also, that was a consequence that helped wake me up as to how much I need to work on this. Let me give you another example. One of my mutuals on here, I'm going to tag her, was just attacked by all these men because of another woman on here with an enormous platform, a much bigger platform, criticized her, which basically put a spotlight on her to all of her male followers. The problem is that this woman caters to men, and I do not trust any content creators who are women who cater to cishet men. Those women are very dangerous. And not only from watching what happened to Laura, but what happened to me. If y'all remember, when all those men, I had to go private for weeks because I talked about men's hobbies and how they use them for financial abuse. They use them to escape responsibility at home and all kinds of stuff, like how unbelievably selfish men are with their hobbies. And this is like the other extreme is men who do literally nothing, never leave the home. But the men who are gone or do hobbies in the home that are very expensive. But either way, it has an enormous impact on their partners, and oftentimes is the downfall of their marriages, especially marathon runners and climbers. Now, that video never said don't have hobbies. In fact, if anyone recalls, I wrote a whole article about how men do not have friends and how much that impacts women and how we want them out of the house. We need them to have a life, because then they exhaust us and exploit us in every way possible, because patriarchy has taught them to do that. The problem is that men will use their hobbies and their pastime and all this stuff to screw over their wives, right? That video, other than my videos about being a cougar, which I'm making fun of that word. I don't believe in that word. Men attacked men. Remember, y'all, I was in 17 tabloids around the world, even like Serbia, all over, making fun of me for this, because it's true. Younger men do love older women, and men can't stand that. But the hobbies video actually got me more heat than even that one. I had hundreds of thousands of men liking, watching, sharing the videos that were attacking me, saying, Mel Hamlet doesn't think men should have hobbies. And if you can believe it, my plumber from New York, who I have not seen since 2010, he follows me on Instagram. He's hilarious. He's the one who got me on the Dr. Oz show, by the way. Let me know if you want to hear that story. He sent me this photo of how I had come across his page of this man. There's 25,000 views on just this one video about crazy cat lady says that we shouldn't have video hobbies. He was like, yo, you're all over YouTube. There's a TikToker on here who has hundreds of thousands of followers. This huge red pill dude made a whole video. Mel Hamlet says we can't have hobbies. And y'all, the DMs that I got on Instagram, because they found me over there. I block them here. They can't access me here. They found me over there telling me in multiple ways that I should unalive myself, throw myself in front of a train, blah, blah, blah. And then also like how I am the reason why men unalive themselves. And then also like sending me photos of them sitting in chairs doing things. This sent me into so much PTSD as someone who has been stalked by multiple men, including my ex, who almost all my PTSD came back because I was literally being stalked online by men who hate women, violent men, for weeks. I had to walk around like this because my nervous system was so messed up. Even in my own home, my husband had to just like tiptoe around because the sound of like baguette paper being crumpled. I was like, I know it sounds so cliche, but they literally eat baguettes every day here in France. It was a nightmare. And I also lost a lot of money because when you're in a state of PTSD, it's hard to work. And I also had to make my account private. Just when I finally monetized it, finally was getting a little bit of money for all this work that I literally spend all day doing, and then had to go private to protect my platform from going, getting deleted, and to protect my mental health, because these men were coming into all of my videos being like, you don't think we should have hobbies? They tortured me for weeks, y'all. And who started it? Can you guess who started it? A woman. One woman who was following me on this account and my other account. This is my main one, by the way. This says backup, but it's the bigger one now. Follow me on both. She stitched my video. She is a woman who caters to men. And she had like 10,000 followers when she stitched my video. Within one day, she had 45,000. And her putting a spotlight on me, bringing attention to me, which one of the reasons why I finally have peace on this app is because the algorithm doesn't send my stuff to these men. That's why I hate it when women tag terrible people in my comments. I stopped allowing tags because a lot of y'all would send my stuff to your awful boyfriend by tagging them. I don't want these men on my page. And this woman literally was like, hey, everybody. Hey, all you inchmells. This lady right here thinks you shouldn't have hobbies. So one woman who wanted so badly to be picked and to make money off of being picked ruined my mental health for over a month, my financial stability, and really messed with my husband too. Because when I'm in my PTSD stuff, my husband, he endures the secondary trauma of that. It is exhausting for him. It's exhausting for me, but it affects him too. He's worried about me constantly. He's watching me lose sleep. He's catching me in the shower in a state of like shaking. It's really hard to watch someone you love going through it. And all because of this woman. One woman. I have been screwed over by so many men in my life, but the women who enable these men stood by and did nothing, or they excused their behavior. I mean, one woman in my life who's very important to me encouraged me again and again to hang out with one of my abusers because of all of the stuff she's not dealing with. So I empathize with the cool girls, the pick-me's, the toxic boy moms. I honestly understand where all that comes from. I know it's not your fault that you were groomed and conditioned to be that way, but it is your responsibility to heal yourself, because you're screwing over everyone, especially women, and the ones who profit off of inciting the violence of these men. I have no empathy for them. They know exactly what they're doing, especially when white women do it. I mean, it checks out if you know our history, especially in the United States. Of course, white women do this all the time, which is another reason why we have to unpack all of this stuff. Patriarchy, white supremacy, anti-blackness, capitalism, all these systems, they all feed into each other. So yeah, men have to earn my respect and my trust. I assume all men are abusers and rapists and are somehow going to exploit me until they prove otherwise. But I've learned the hard way that I kind of have to do that with women too. Not to the same extent, but I watch women's behavior. And if I see right out of the gate that they're consistently centering men, I don't trust them. I will love them from a distance, but I will not trust them in my life, because they can blow up my life like that with one of their terrible decisions. And I'm tired of paying a price for their refusal to heal. The same way my friends had to draw a boundary with me until I took my own healing seriously.